All right, if you're a homeowner on Seattle's East Side and you've even had a passing thought about selling, this is for you. We're about to break down some new data that points to a very specific, very valuable window of opportunity that is coming up fast. Let's dive in.
Okay, I'm going to start with just one number, $43,500. So what is that? Well, according to some brand new research, that's how much extra you could potentially make by timing our local market just right. This isn't a guess, it's what the data is telling us, and it all boils down to one crucial question.
And that question is, of course, when is the absolute best time to list your home? Now, what's so fascinating here is that Zillow's latest annual research just dropped, and it turns out, for us here in the Seattle area, the answer is totally different from the rest of the country.
Yeah, take a look at this. This really lays it all out. Nationally, the sweet spot for selling is late May, but for us, it's the first 2 weeks of April. I mean, that's a huge difference, right? And it's exactly why you can't just follow the national news. If you wait for the national peak, you could be leaving some serious cash on the table.
So let's circle back to that $43,000 figure. Where did I get that number? It comes from right here. The data shows that historically, sellers in Seattle who list during that early April window, they've earned about 2.9% more on their sale. And if you do the math on a pretty typical, say, $1.5 million Eastside home, well, that 2.9% premium works out to, you guessed it, right around $43,500.
So you're probably asking, why? Why are we so different? Well, it really boils down to one simple but super powerful driver, the school calendar. Think about it. Families who are buying in the spring, they're on a mission. They want to find a place, get their offer accepted, close the whole deal, and be completely moved in and settled before school starts up again in September. And that just pushes the whole timeline forward. Their serious house hunting season, it's happening right now, getting hot in April.
Okay, let's throw another piece into the puzzle, interest rates. You might remember we had this brief little window in late winter where rates actually dipped below 6% for the first time in a long time. Now that door is pretty much closed, they've ticked back up, so the buyers who jumped on that are already under contract. But here's the key takeaway. Even where rates are today, they're still better than they were a year ago. That improved affordability is what's keeping buyers in the game.
All right, enough with the big picture stuff. Let's zoom in. I mean, way in. Let's see how all these trends are actually playing out on the ground. We're going to use Sammamish as a kind of case study to see this tug of war between supply and demand happening in real time.
First up, supply. And whoa, this number is a big one. Active listings in Sammamish, they have shot up by almost 90% compared to this time last year. 90%! What that means for a seller is pretty simple. You've got a lot more competition out there than you did just 12 months ago. But, and this is a big but, here's the other side of that story. While the number of homes for sale has skyrocketed, the number of homes actually going under contract, what we call pending sales, has actually dropped by about 13%. So let that sink in. More houses for sale, but fewer people buying them. That creates some real tension in the market.
So let's break down the key stats for Sammamish right now. You're looking at about 118 active listings. That gives us just under 3 months of supply. Now, what that means is, if nothing new came on the market, it would take about 3 months to sell everything that's currently available. So technically, that's still a seller's market. But look at the prices. The median asking price for a single-family home is floating around $1.8 million, but the median sale price is actually closer to $1.45 million. That gap, that's where the story is.
So if you're a homeowner in Sammamish and you've just been kind of watching from the sidelines, what's the takeaway here? What is all this data telling you? Well, it's screaming that the market is changing. The balance of power, it's definitely starting to shift.
Okay, let's pull the lens back out a bit into a quick lightning round for the rest of the East Side. Think of this as your halftime report, a quick scorecard to see what's happening in all the key areas.
All right, first up, Kirkland and Redmond. This is hands down where the most action is right now. We're talking about 384 active listings, making it the busiest spot on the East Side. And get this, pending sales are way up compared to last year. This is really where the buyer energy is focused as we head into spring. Moving on to Bellevue. The big headline here, buyers are getting more leverage. Active listings have jumped 44%, so there are almost 500 homes to choose from. And in Eastern Bellevue, it's actually tipped into a buyer's market territory. We're talking almost 8 months of supply. So yeah, even with those big Bellevue price tags, buyers have a lot more room to negotiate than you might expect.
Now let's pop over to Woodinville and Kenmore. This area looks to be the most balanced of them all. With a little over 4 months of supply, it's not really a strong buyer's market or a strong seller's market. It's kinda in the middle. And that balance means buyers probably have a decent shot at negotiating on the price and the terms.
And hey, just a quick word of caution about Issaquah. You've got to be really careful looking at the data here. The reason is there just hasn't been a lot of sales activity lately. When you only have a few closings, the median price can get skewed like crazy by just 1 or 2 really high or really low sales. So it's super important to look at the specifics of any property, not just the big headline numbers.
Okay, so we've covered the timing, we've dug into the local stats, we've done a market-by-market breakdown. Now we get to the most important part of this whole thing. What does all this actually mean for you? Let's lay out the 3 main paths you could take as a seller based on everything we've just seen.
So it really boils down to 3 main strategies, 3 options on the table for you right now. 1, you could list immediately, right now, to get ahead of the pack. 2, you could aim for that data-backed sweet spot in early April. Or 3, you could wait it out until late spring or even summer.
Let's break down what each of those really means. If you list now, you're getting your home out there before the inventory piles up even more, and you're going to capture those super motivated buyers who are already pre-approved and hunting. Option 2, aiming for early April, means you're playing the odds. You're strategically targeting that window that Zillow's data says has historically given sellers that 2.9% price bump. And waiting? Well, waiting means you're almost guaranteed to face more competition, and if history is any guide, you'll miss out on Seattle's unique peak selling season.
But I've got to throw in one major wild card here that could change everything. Interest rates. They are not fixed. If energy prices keep going up, rates could keep climbing too, and that could really put a damper on buyer demand later this spring. It is absolutely the most critical variable to keep an eye on.
Look, the bottom line is this. The market is talking, and it's sending some really clear messages. Inventory is growing, which gives buyers more options. Interest rates are up from their recent lows, and that special window, the one that all this research points to as Seattle's best time to sell, is literally just a few weeks away. The only question left is whether this is the right move for you and your family. Figuring out how all this data applies to your specific home, your specific situation, that's a conversation you definitely want to have. And if you want to talk it through with a real expert in this market, the person to call is Algin with Engel and Volkers Seattle Eastside. You can give him a call at 707-236-2467 or just head over to his website at alginrealestate.com. And seriously, I'd recommend you check out the site. He's got the full, detailed NWMLS verified market reports with all the current data up there, and you can get them completely free. Thanks so much for tuning in.